I'm going to be going through all of the products that I use, as well as application process and the steps that I use. The first thing that I always do is I have bangs. Obviously I'm looking a little rough right now. So let's just ignore that. So I'm gonna use my headband and I put my bangs up. My setup is I just have this mirror here that I use. So the first step is primer. The main primers that I actually use, it depends on what I'm doing throughout the day, but if I'm going to school, I usually use this. It's the CoverGirl True Blend skin primer, and it's purple. It's pore minimizing, but another thing that works really well, and the makeup like really sticks to it, is the Sephora Hyaluronic Acid All Day Glow. It's a moisturizer, but it also works as a primer, so that's pretty great, and it's very sticky. The only issue is when you're choosing a primer, you want to make sure you're looking out for what kind of base it has. So if you're going to be using like a water-based primer, you don't want to be using an oil-based foundation because it'll just peel the foundation right off your face. So I'm gonna go in with my usual CoverGirl. I usually just, because it's got like a tip like this, so I just usually apply it in little spots like that. When I'm using my primer, especially because this is a pore minimizing primer, I want to mainly focus on where I have the most pores and where I'm worrying that my foundation is going to rub off the most throughout the day. So if you touch your face a lot like this, you want to focus your primer here, and then because of my pores, I like to focus around my nose and where you peel or crack the most, which is like smile lines or creases under the eyes. So I just rub it in. Usually though, a little bit goes a long way. So there. So you want to just give it a second to kind of like dry down. My next step is, everyone does it a little bit differently. I do my eyeliner first because I tend to mess it up a lot. My eyeliner is different every day, and I don't like when I do my eyeliner on top of my base, and when I go to fix it, it pulls my base off. It's too much work for me. So I usually go in with a multitude of different eyeliners. I'm an eyeliner gal, but it's really hard because I use pen eyeliner and they tend to dry up pretty fast. My favorite eyeliner that I've ever used is the NYX Professional. It's the Epic Ink Liner in the shade Black. It lasted me 3-4 months. Like, that's pretty good. I also use the Marcel Double Precision. It's dual-ended, one end's a felt tip and the other is a brush tip. So here is the felt tip, the brush tip. I like felt tip better, but I have better luck with brush tip. For this look, I'll be going in with the Maybelline Tattoo Studio in the shade Matte Black. When I'm doing my eyeliner, I mainly try to focus, because my eyes are a bit downturned, you always want to focus on the shape of your eyelid, as well as I also have hooded eyes, so it makes it really difficult because if I'm doing different facial expressions, my eyeliner changes, which is awesome. But yeah, so I focus on kind of bringing this line here and then this line here. So I'll show you now. So do you kind of see, let's see when I do different, it looks different. So I'm just going to fill that in. That's looking a little rough. Okay, so whenever it looks questionable. I just take a Q-tip and I just clean it up. And then I go back in. So there. As you can see, what I did was I brought it in from like my mid-eye when I'm looking straight forward, and I bring it kind of upwards in a straight line, and then I connect it to where my eyelid starts to go down, and yeah, it looks like this from afar. Okay, so next step is to repeat it on the other eye. And really, eyeliner just takes a lot of practice. Like, I'm not even 100% great at it yet. Like, it takes me quite a few tries sometimes. Sometimes, on a lucky day, I get it first try. Not too bad. So what I do to check the symmetry of my eyeliner, it's never perfect. I don't worry about it being perfect. But I look at myself straight on in the mirror, and I kind of just so just for some final touch-ups, I'm gonna go in with my Marcel double liner. I'm gonna go in with the brush tip. It's a little uneven. As you can see, this side's upturn, this side's downturn. There. Eyeliner is officially done. So my next step is eyeshadow. I have this Hip Dot palette. I got it for my birthday. I believe you can get it at Winners, but it's got very nice shades. Use these Eco Tool brushes. One is the Defined Crease brush. I take this dark brown here called Vibration, and I just kind of rub my brush, and you always want to tap it off. You don't want any loose. And then I just take this and kind of bring it in. Okay, a little disclaimer, the eyeshadow process is very much so trust the process. And I blend out with my finger as well as the brush. The application is very much so on this outer crease. Out, blend. You can see that there's more here, so I'm putting more on my right side. And I blend it out along the edge with my finger so that it looks smooth. Then what I do next is I take the lightest color on this palette called Sandstone, and then I put it here in my inner eye. Next I do is I take my NYX Ultimate Vintage Jean Baby palette, and I take this white and I just use my finger and I rub it in the white. I put that on my inner, and it just kind of lightens up my eye a little bit. Next, I do whatever glitter I'm feeling for the day, like this white shimmer. So I just take my finger again. I find that shimmers apply better if you're using your finger. And I focus on my inner, and then I drag it out. And then I do the same thing for the other eye. For the look, I like to put it on this inner corner spot here and then kind of pull it along the bottom of my bottom of my inner corner. Also, I will say sometimes through this process, you do end up having to fix your eyeliner. So, the makeup remover that I use is the Garnier Micellar Cleansing Water. It's the one with the cornflower extract. And I really like it because sometimes my skin is pretty sensitive to makeup remover, and it doesn't make my skin burn or anything. Just really nice. Because the way I do my eyeshadow is kind of messy, and you know what? That's okay. We all have our ways, and so now I go in with my foundation, Fresh Nude by Body Shop. It's shade Light 1C. It's actually a little too orange for me, so that's why my process can be a little too, like, it's a little confusing, but this is how I do my makeup. It has this little paddle. I just put some on my hand. So I just take it, put it on my cheeks, but I focus along the bottom, a little bit on my chin. It doesn't look like my face. It's a completely different shade from my neck, which has happened before, and it's embarrassing. I just rub it in with my hands to start. I would say that this is a medium coverage foundation. Very nice formula, very smooth. I bought this foundation on sale. I got it for like literally $8, but it's usually like 28 or something like that. I don't have the money. I don't have the money. So next thing I do is I take my beauty blender and my setting spray. I use the NYX Matte Finish. It's a really great setting spray. I only really use it for my beauty blender when I'm blending it. I have a different spray that sets everything. So I get it drenched. And then I blend. And this kind of just like sets it into your skin. Like it locks it in. This is First Base. It's an everyday skin tint. It's actually a tinted moisturizer with SPF in it. Allison got me this when she was in the Philippines, and she got me a lighter shade. So I usually just, it's got a little squeeze applicator, so I just put a little bit under my eyes. You don't need a lot. On my chin and in the middle of my forehead. So by doing this, we're brightening under eyes, chin, and the center of the forehead. It's kind of the center of the face that we're brightening up. So by doing that, we're adding a lot of dimension. When you're doing a beauty blender on straight product, you are picking up a lot of the product and it's sticking to your blender rather than to your face. And then this here, I move around in a circle and then I bring it down my nose a little bit. There's no need to press too hard. You just kind of go over. When you're blending along your nose, you want to keep it straight. Technically, this is concealer placement, but I use the tinted moisturizer as I would a concealer. I just find it's nicer on my skin, and it's what I have. So as you can already see, like, there is dimension in my face now, rather than me just being all one color. I take my powder, depending on how I'm feeling. Sometimes I use the Maybelline Fit Me loose powder. Today, I'll be going in with the Fit Me. So I always flip it upside down, shake it, and I get product into the lid. And then I just take my powder puff and I dip it in, and then I put the excess on my hand, and then I put it, you want to put your powder in places where you'll crease. So I always do my under eye, along my nose, and then in my nose crease here. Then I put a little bit more, And then I do the same thing on the other side. I like to do a little bit under my chin. Yeah, so with a loose powder, you always want to give it a couple of minutes to bake. So I've given it a couple of minutes, and then I just take a fluffy brush and I go along the areas that I put loose powder and brush. And as you, I don't know if you can see on camera, but it has already added a little bit of definition to my nose because the powder is pretty light. So the next thing that I do is I go in with my ColourPop blush palette. It's the Extra Glazed Cheek palette, and I usually use Strawberry Strudel and Pink Velvet. I take a brush that looks like this, not too big, it's fluffy, and I just switch between the two, and then I knock it off, and then I apply to the top of my cheek. And then I do the same for the other cheek. And I kind of bring it up to here, my temple, and then I move around with my finger. And it's not super harsh or anything, I like it just adds a little bit more color to my face. The next thing that I do is I contour my nose. I don't do it with actual contour, I do it with eyeshadow, but it works for me. The palette that I use is e.l.f. Matte for Matte. It's a nude palette, and I use this lightest brown color. So for this I take my Eco Tools blurring brush and put it on, and then I do it along here where my brow kind of attaches to my nose, and then I just blend it out with my finger. And I do it along here. Then I take a little bit more and I do it along the bottom of my nose. And throughout this step, I'm always blending with my finger. And then I just kind of go over it one more time. Done. So the next thing that I do is I go over my waterline with a black pencil eyeliner. For this, I'm using the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in the shade black. And all you gotta do is pull your eye down and go along your waterline. See how it really defines the eye? I go along my lash line with it, and then I just blend it out with my finger. You can either do this with the black pencil liner, or you can do it with eyeshadow. And then I go along my top waterline a little bit more, clean it up, there. And then I do the same on the other side. Uh-oh. No worries. There's an easy way to get rid of that if you accidentally get eyeliner or anything on places where it shouldn't be on top of your base. So what I do if I make a mistake like that is I just take a Q-tip and I get rid of it. And then you can kind of see it's got like a bit of a splotch there still. That's just from like my base being removed. So what I do if that happens is I take my pressed powder, I rub my blender, lightly dab it off, and then I dab it in the spot where I had makeup lifting. And sometimes it leaves a bit of powder there, so I just let it sit for a second, and then I will brush it off with a brush. I just recently washed all of my brushes and they are so nice and clean now. There you go. All fixed. So the next thing I do is I curl my eyelashes. The other day I was curling my eyelashes and I pinched my eye. So once your eyelashes are nice and curled, you want to go in with mascara. I use the L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black. It's the brush. So I like to go from the root up, just so it gives my lashes a fuller look. I really love a full lash look. Every girl has a mascara face. Don't judge. Look at the difference. I always do root up. This mascara is so good. Like, I have naturally pretty long eyelashes. I have a bit of a natural curl to them already, and this mascara just makes them look absolutely amazing. So that's the look. Sometimes if I'm doing it, I do freckles. I think I'm gonna do. I got told by someone, you know who you are, a week ago that my freckles look like a bad Snapchat filter, and I'll tell you, I don't really care. I don't really care because they look good to me. They look good from afar. So for my freckles, I take a Q-tip. I make sure it's got like a nice sharp tip at the end, and I just really lightly tap around, and then I kind of make sure my finger's clean, and I push them in. I need to get a freckle pen. I really want one. I think they'll be a lot better. They look a lot nicer than how I do it. And you just always want to make sure you're pushing in so that they don't look so crazy. Then I take my Dewy Coconut Setting Mist, e.l.f., and I spray down my face. Then I take a palette and I fan my face. I need to get a fan. And then for lips, it's pretty much just whatever I'm feeling that day. I do have a lip liner that I love. It's the NYX Professional Suede Matte Lip Liner in the shade Vintage. And what I do is I go along my bottom put it on, and then I blend it out a little bit with my finger. So it kind of looks like that. And then I pull it out a little bit. And I do the same on the other side. So I do that, and then I take my Maybelline Lifter Gloss in the shade Taffy. So yeah, this is the final look. After I do my makeup, I always fix my hair. My bangs are always a mess after I take my headband off. It's okay. Why does it look so crazy? There we go. So yeah, this is the final look. I find that it lasts all school day, after school, everything. Sometimes I do have to reapply my lip liner, but that's completely normal. And yeah, it doesn't crease too badly or anything like that, and if it does, I just do a little bit of touch up with my pressed powder, and then I'm set to go. But yeah, so I hope the tutorial was good. Thank you for watching.